We'll call the meeting to order. The March 18th, water, 18th, right? 17th, March 17th, Water Commissioners meeting. Anybody have comments on the minutes of the open meeting session?
No, motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any comments on the executive session meeting minutes from the same day?
Nope.
Take a motion.
Motion to allow to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those are for you.
Thank you.
Okay. Warrants will be being signed. We do have abatements tonight, too, and a couple of refunds.
That's just a re-sign from the last one. The total didn't carry over. Like it just needs to be re-signed. I explained on that.
Okay.
And there's a couple refunds, and those are due to the fact I told you sometimes people when they sell their house, they pay the bill, then the realtor pays the bill.
Yeah.
Or the attorney.
The double paid.
Yep.
Okay. We'll sign those after. All right, next order, new business. Mr. Hoyt.
All right, I'll try to keep it a little quicker than last time. So starting with Manly, I didn't catch up with the figures today, but the gist I got from Anthony is that the inspection of the vessels went okay. There are some sand valves. This is a green sand vessels. So to back up, we had the manufacturer Hungerford and Terry come out and look at them. So Wayne essentially drained one tank down so they could empty it and look, because part of the spec was for them to inspect the vessels and make sure that there's no repairs needed before we fill it with the new media. And they did recommend replacement of the sand valves. So we're waiting on cost and lead times on those items. I'm anticipating the cost to be well within our contingency, but it would result in a change order to do the work. But once we have the pricing, we'll make a formal recommendation and have you guys weigh in on it.
I mean, almost as worried about the schedule impacts if they can't get it. Because I mean, that's probably not going to be a huge cost to us, but if it pushes us off being able to put the media in and everything else,
It'd be an issue if the timing is really long, because then we would probably be looking back at trying to do just one shutdown and start up with a lot of moving parts rather than having alternatively doing there's no point in putting the PFAS online until the green sand media is in place, right? No reason to even open that can of worms, so to speak. They did also note that the media itself was clumped, which they thought was atypical. They didn't necessarily point out any immediate concerns about it, but they did note that they would have thought the media would have been more granular and less clumped. So it could be just further evidence that the media is really old and is due to be replaced, which is
It did look like it was down. We had lost some media when we opened that up from
Yeah.
the last time that I've looked in.
And I think you felt that your throughput has been diminished.
Yeah.
I think this probably just showing why that was happening. And it could also be what has led to some of that carryover we've seen in the PFAS vessel. So all the more reason why we're doing it. So I don't have an update in terms of the timing of that, mostly because we have to figure out what's going on with those valves before we can commit to a date to do the media swap over. And then Victor hadn't heard back on the PFAS vessels as of when I was running out the door to come today. So we'll get you guys an update on that. And it'll be even more important if the green sand media swap out gets pushed back to understand when all the PFAS work is happening to make sure, we're not.
how often does the contractor owe us the updated schedule? So, because they should be basically looking at that and coming up with any alterations.
Yeah, I mean, for that, they just kind of blame Adage and just say, oh, you asked for it. So I know Victor's been kind of going between both of them. Did you have a progress meeting this past week while I was on vacation?
Yeah, and the chlorine bulk tank was like 6 weeks up, so I think it's 5 weeks, or it could be 4.5 at this point.
Okay.
That seemed to be the long lead item to make the internal swap over, because I think the media is due to arrive at the end of this month. I know it's in the States somewhere, so.
Okay. Yeah, so they should have had an updated schedule at that meeting.
I think they asked them to develop one.
So Barry and
Right.
Victor asked them to
Yep.
present it. Okay. I'll make sure we're staying on top of them and don't let it keep sliding, because I think we've asked for it a couple times now. So.
The sand valves will be an issue, like, they have to be chipped out. They're not,
Yeah, I heard there was some trouble getting some bolts off, but I didn't know that was. I don't.
so I just kind of made a quick hand sketch. But they're embedded in they thread down into the lateral, but they're encased in concrete, the threaded part that sticks down. So they most likely will have to chip away at the concrete to get them out.
What is it, is it like a check valve or something?
It's like 2 flat pieces of metal that were made out of copper or brass, we believe. And then what you see on the sides, there's little pieces of brass on the sides to keep the media from getting into it, even though they're under the underground, so that no media can escape. And over time, they're fragile.
So are they as old as the tanks? So
Yes, they are.
20 years, 30,
Right, but the
30.
tanks are made out of good, thick metal, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
these are made out of brass or copper, and they're brittle. Some have fallen apart. So there might be almost like 30 in a tank, I believe. There's
Which
quite a
means you
few
could
in
start
there.
losing media out through those too
Right,
then.
so
Starts-
if you're doing it, replace them. So seeing what they are for our lead item is, when he knows and we fall within the 6 weeks, I'll give up I think we can go without the plant if it all comes together. They'll have to just work backwards and figure out, the bulk tank seems to be the last thing to arrive at this point.
Yeah. So hopefully the valves come in within that same lead.
Right.
Yeah.
And then whatever he feels he needs for time to get to all of them, because you've got to vacuum out the other 2 tanks. They had to cut through the screen too, the stainless steel screen, to get at it. So we'll have to replace that. And there's the air wash lateral is in there too. I don't think that, they'll check it, but it looked in good shape.
Okay. Screen wasn't bolted in or something? They could have just pulled it?
So
They
the
had to
bolts, after having been there so long, are galled, or they've fused together. So some came out and some wouldn't, and they're welded to the sides of the tanks. So they were working on how they might do that.
So the other domino is just, understanding the cost, what that uses up the contingency, to see if we can get those bag filters done within the contingency as well. So we'll have an update for you guys once the pricing comes in.
Okay.
So along those lines, do you have, I'll just hand it all out while I'm up there. This is the budget summary for Manly.
And we still haven't spent any money out of the ARPA fund yet.
Spend that before they take it back.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we have till the end of 2026 to spend that, right?
Yeah, they had asked, they were looking to see when the project was gonna complete. So they might be targeting that date instead.
Oh, okay.
So I can reach back out to them, but yes, there was, once the extension was granted, it reached out further.
So the one I'm referring to is the letter. So you can see the contingency is the, 186,680. So I don't think we're close to spending that yet. That's the number we're talking about. So while we're talking budget, what we've done here is try to kind of show how being proactive with funding has reduced the burden on ratepayers that the project could have otherwise had. So, on the left side of the project phase, then the cost, and then the next 3 columns are kind of showing where we were able to get some outside funding. So we have the SRF funding, which, as you know, covers construction and contingency. With that comes some principal forgiveness. And then the ARPA funds, excuse me, there was about $960,000 available for this project that was split between covering our engineering, and then what was left is being applied to construction. So, and then the percent cost is kind of show, once you take the ARPA funds, the principal forgiveness, that represents this percent of the total cost. So for example, the CARPR, 100% of that cost has been offset by this funding. So, there is no burden to the ratepayers as a result, of that work because of the funding, right? It's, similar for the other phases. And what that kind of results in is, 22% of the overall cost was mitigated through you finding other sources of funding, whether it's principal forgiveness through SRF or through the application of ARPA funds. And then what I think is also worth noting, if you're trying to just show the ratepayers what a benefit this work you've done has been, of that cost that would be attributed to ratepayers, 92% of that is an interest-free loan, which is a big deal. Interest rates have only gone up, as you know. So I think this just really shows that because you were aggressive looking for other funding sources, you really did the ratepayers a favor, so to speak. So we put this together, I think, at Dylan's recommendation to kind of show, that it paid off. It's still a lot of money, we understand that, but.
Yeah, thank you. The Clean Water Trust
Yep.
that you got, is that gonna be applied to Manly, or is that gonna be?
600,000, it's six, there's some numbers in there, but it's 600,000 will be applied to Manly.
Okay,
The rest will go over to C and Norman.
Some of that is reimbursing you for money you've already spent.
but that's not even included in this, right?
Correct. Yeah.
I don't know how many times that they've requested for them to rewrite the application.
Yep.
It's like,
But assuming they eventually are
I gotta-
happy and we get it, that's additional money.
They
that
haven't
comes
said
in.
anything in over a week, so
Right.
I think maybe we got it this time. And then the other thing I handed out was the rate, and you guys were right that when you made your last increase, you actually got a good chunk of the way there. Maybe as much as halfway to eliminating the deficit. So previously, if you look at kind of the bottom right number, you see that 37%. So overall, you need to increase your revenue by 37%. When I brought this to the last meeting, that was close to 68% or something like that. So you've already made up a lot of ground through your most recent
Last and,
increase. And you can kind of see that too, right? So your total revenue under the existing rates, and this is based on, at this point, 4-year-old water records. It would be a pretty big undertaking at this point to go back and redo that piece of it. And I don't know if that would necessarily be money well spent for you, to be honest. But based on the water use from those years applied to your current rates, we would expect your revenue to be in the ballpark of the 2.14 million, which is not quite there for the years when we're paying back Sear Norman and Manning at the same time, as you know. Then the proposed rates show, boosting it that extra 37%. That kind of gets you to that 3.64, which is slightly more than your 5-year average of your costs over those years. And we did also make some adjustments where your existing rates went up above where we had them in the proposed. We brought the proposed up. And then the other comment, I think we've even included this before, the last one. We did revert back to the allowed excess, rolled it back to what you currently have, to make sure we weren't unnecessarily shifting revenue into the excess and out of the base. It is still based on a tiered structure though.
Yeah.
Anything else at Manly?
Thank you.
Then pivoting to Sear Norman, I'm going to leave a full-size set of plans for you, maybe. And then I have half a size set for everybody. So, as we discussed last time, we're aiming to have our plans and specs ready by April 2nd. That's when we're anticipating would be the first day we get the MIPA certificate. I think it'll likely come, a day or two after that, just because, April 2nd is the date. Well, if we were going to hear anything from anybody by then, we would have. MIPA will write it, and it just will probably take a day or two for them to, process the certificate and give it to us. But as soon as we have that in hand, we want to be ready to go to Mass DEP. So what I have here is a progress print. As discussed last time, we're still waiting on subs, and it still needs to go through our internal QA/QC before it goes to DEP. But we won't do our internal QA/QC until we've resolved all conflicts with our subs. So, when you're looking at these, just, they are what we would consider close to a 95% set, but there could still be some changes for conflict resolution and then just overall improvement as it goes through our QA/QC. For example, right as I was going on vacation, we got the new column plans from the metal building manufacturer, and of course there was a column right through our shower. So last minute we were kind of rearranging the floor plan, and that caused us to shift some things, and not every one of those necessarily has been caught on every elevation. So when we're doing our QA/QC, so you might note little quirky things, but for the most part, if you wanted to do a big picture review, kind of step through the process, see what the building's going to look like, we invite any and all feedback. So if you want to take a week or so, in your free time, and you've got nothing better to do, pore over the plans. Any feedback you have, we'll incorporate before it goes to DEP. That being said, you'll get another bite at the apple. Once we're into DEP, we kind of have our laundry list of little nitpicky things we're going to continue to improve, even while they're looking at it, and then there might be some feedback that comes from them. So you will get 100% set before it goes out to bid, and at that point, it will have gone through all of our QA/QC, would have gone through all our conflict resolution, and should be as close to bulletproof as it can get at that point. But for this one, it's more just making sure we don't surprise Wayne because we we don't give them enough lab space, or we put a blower right where these guys want to have their break room or something. The only thing I'll point out is the civil plans were part of the MIPA. So if there were any significant changes to the civil plan, we may have to follow up with them. So in other words, we'd really like to not do that.
We had already seen that, those plans
Right,
previously.
so we made
anyway.
sure it's, I don't remember if it was 60% or 75%. You know, we went through the plans, I came and presented, showed you that here are the big things that changed, left plans with you. I think Art, you had marked up a set, you got us feedback, Wayne had done the same at that time. So, that being said, if you see anything, you know, please flag it for us. And then I was talking to Katie saying, you know, was there anything big that changed since they saw that 70%? We couldn't really come up with anything. It's more just additional detail compared to what you saw. But like the tanks, the vessels are all in the same place. It's the same number of vessels. The bathroom layout is different. One of our air intakes moved. Some of our doors moved around based on where columns are. But nothing that I think
More trees.
would really jump out at you. Yeah, we didn't take, we actually did have to take down a couple of trees, just because we wanted to do, I think when we were on site, we thought it'd be good to do a slide gate with an operator. So we needed more straight run, so that, you know,
For
when
the
there were
yield.
tracks.
Yeah,
But luckily it's in the front there, and as you know, it might show up as trees, but it's not real trees. And this is what we talked to Lipa about. You know, it's shrubs, you know, nothing over 12 inches in diameter, anything that anybody would miss.
James, is there a mop sink on this? That's. We need a mop,
No.
we need a mop sink.
Okay.
And what about gas oil containment for that overhead door unless no vehicles fall with the door or something?
So there's no way to get a vehicle in the building. The door is just to access to the vessels,
But
get them into the building, and then to get,
is there like a curb or something to prevent the vehicle from going in?
probably not. I mean, there's a tank that would prevent them
Yeah.
from pulling more than a couple feet into the building.
Okay, well, we can figure that out.
So I guess, yeah, so the overhead door, I guess on the west side, which would be the top of the sheet.
Yeah,
Right now, it looks empty, but that's a spot for future PFAS. So, I mean, I guess theoretically on day one, if somebody went rogue on you and decided to open it and drive a car in, they physically could do so, but it's certainly not the intent of that opening.
so we'll have to put a couple of bollards out front and we can remove them whenever. Just to comply with 10.9. And a mop sink just to comply with 10.10, 248.
Nope.
And that's not a deluge shower, that's just a regular shower to, right? It's not a deluge shower, it's just a regular shower for guys to clean up with afterwards, after work.
No, so the one in the bathroom, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
We do have emergency deluge showers in the chemical area.
So there's a board policy on that.
Sorry?
There's a plumbing board policy for a deluge shower.
Okay.
It's like 20 gallons a minute for 30 minutes or something off the top of my head.
Okay.
the containment area will hold it.
Well, the containment area is, yeah, but it's just the hot water heater that's required, that's the problem.
Yeah, so.
It's a
yeah.
huge water heater.
Alright, so definitely include that. I mean, we'll check it all in the plumbing plans. I think they came in Thursday. So we're starting to do our QA, QC, you know, conflict resolution with the HVAC and plumbing.
Yep.
But yeah, we always have, unfortunately, an on-demand water heater to provide tempered water for all of these
Yeah, but the,
eyewash.
unfortunately, the eye wash is different, but the deluge is, it takes a significant amount of water. So,
Okay.
Just got a price on one last week at work, it was 34,000.
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, the tank alone is like 8.
Yeah.
Well, your plumbing sub should know that that policy exists and should be including
Yeah,
that
I
in their
mean,
plans anyway.
We have them in every treatment plant we do, and we do
Yeah.
a decent number of them.
Yeah.
So I have confidence that once I look through their plans,
They should have at least
specs will be there.
sent out an RFI or something if it wasn't there, I would think, right?
Well, they don't have the plumbing plans yet, John.
Well,
That comes up, that'll be,
it'd come along.
that'll be
That-
part of the
it-
plumbing
It wouldn't come
plans.
anyways, it'd get a change order on it.
So if you have just minor things and you want to collect them and blast them in the email, that's fine. We can also come back. I can send somebody Monday to come pick up, your markups. Wayne, if you want to just
Yeah.
write right on the half size, we'll come get them from you, bring them back to the office, and
All right.
handle it that way. And like I said, this isn't your last chance to give us input. It's just the last chance before it goes to DEP. And if we have changes after it goes to DEP, anything big, we just resubmit to them with revision files. So that's not a big deal either. The other piece, though, if you guys are good for me to pivot, is the pre-qual. So I think we need to try to get the schedule sooner than later. So I don't know if we can try to start looking into next week, picking a day. And then I don't know if a decision was made about involving anybody outside the board at the town, whose schedule we should coordinate with.
There was no decision made. We'll have to make that decision quick. You're thinking next week already?
I think so. I mean, we've had a couple contractors reach out, just say like, hey, like we submitted those. How's it going? And as you know, we had 60 contractors times 3 references times 3 financial statements.
Yeah.
Took us a while to get through, but like I said, we could do it more as a workshop as opposed to having you guys doing homework beforehand.
Week after would be better for me,
Okay.
especially Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And we can figure out in the meantime if we want to get somebody else.
Okay. One of those work better? Is there a time?
Right now, that's what I'm saying, right now, those 3 days are about the only thing I have that's open that doesn't have restrictions.
So you're saying April 1st would be a good day?
Yeah, first should be fine. Oh, that's the night of that. That's the stuff, but that's at
If I
night
get the
anyway.
certificate on April 2nd, we might have some paperwork to do to get stuff into DEP, so the first might be better. But
No, the first it worked, 31st it worked, the second it worked.
okay, so I'll check with Jenna and let me know if for some reason the first doesn't work. Is there a time that works best for you guys?
I mean, until I schedule other stuff, I would be in town on those days, so whatever time it works for you guys to come down.
Okay, how about you guys?
I'm fine.
Okay, I'll check with Jenna and see if she has any limitations.
And this is the straight up pre-qual packages for the contractors, so it's not
Yeah.
financials in the respect that their financials are good or not, but not. Imagine who I'll talk to.
Yeah, I mean, we can you know, send him a copy of the ad if he wants to review, you know, what it's all about and decide, you know, if he wants to be involved. I would hesitate to send him the full link I sent you
No.
unless he's gonna be on it, just again because
Those
technically, you know,
privileged
privileged
information.
information, and so if he decides not to be involved, then it will become inappropriate for him to have a link at that time. So,
All right, we'll figure it out one way or the other. Soon.
James, I know we talked about it a little bit, this aeration tower, do we know what kind of noise this thing's gonna make yet?
so I mean, all the indications I've got have been minimal. Where it's been used in other places, we are further from residents than the other examples.
Okay.
So you want stuff back on this quick,
And if you
as
get us-
as quick
I
as
mean, if
possible.
it's feedback.
Because there's not much on these plans. I mean, you spelled avenue wrong on the cover sheet. So
Did we-
you can, if you want to fix that. All right. Little light reading to do then. The storage area for that be enough for the C5? Or you're gonna have to store it outside or a different part?
No, you can't store it outside.
I meant like out in another building or something, and bring it in.
I mean, we do move it around. We're gonna have plenty of storage space, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And you're not, truly, you don't really need the C5 once you're removing the iron and manganese. I mean, we put in like a gallon a day out of Manly. If even.
So once it's working,
Right, you don't really need it, but we have a lot of old pipe, so I'm hesitant to cut it off.
Yeah, if you want to see any of the underlying chemical feed calcs, Wayne, we can share those with you too. How we
Yeah.
came up with our bulk
Yep.
size and day tank sizes. But yeah, I mean, I think the projected usage of C5 is so low, it didn't make sense to do anything bigger than drums.
Right.
I mean, we could, you know, make space if we need to, I just don't think the usage requires it. We don't have the electrical plans, but just to give you a heads up, Wayne, Jim hinted at the fact that he might be trying to steal some real estate from your storage room for some of these panels if they don't fit in the electrical room. So you might see that. We'll fight the good fight for you, but it might shrink a little.
Well, storage room, it won't be bad.
We also do have the entire mezzanine that's just upstairs, so you're not gonna wanna store anything up there that
It's heavy.
you wanna move up and downstairs.
Right. Plus, we'll have station 1 is gonna be wide open. It's right there, the station 4.
You know, and then even in, you know, the tanks that are going here, you know, we
Future PFAS.
suspect will be there eventually. This open space here may never be used, right? So that's just more provision for DEP, you know, if for some reason we needed to go a third set of vessels.
and in the interim, that's usable space.
Yeah, so until then, you know, you could be, you know, storing things,
Yeah.
especially in front of the garage door, that we know we can drive in,
Yeah.
pile it up.
So we got looking to do. What else do you got for us? Anything?
I think that's it this time.
So you checked with Jenna and you wanted to just get back to me and Wayne about times?
Yeah, so I'll just see if there's a preferred time, if I'm flexible that day, sounds like you both are. So if we end up including a fifth member and they've got constraints, we can work around them. Otherwise, I'll just make sure Jenna doesn't have any constraints and I'll just pick a time.
Okay. How long do you think it'll take?
I would block out 2 hours.
Okay.
It hasn't taken that long everywhere we've gone. I think this one's pretty straightforward. I think there are, a couple things to discuss about, missing or incomplete data and what how scoring wise we want to address it, whether we want to give, people a chance to try again on certain things. But we have to make decisions, unilaterally without.
Yeah, you can't give one a chance and another one not the chance and, yeah.
So I think that's stuff I think best talked about when we can kind of show you what we're up against.
Okay.
All right, and then I guess the next meeting would be the 1st, or I guess no, the end of March, right?
Yeah, so it won't be.
So it won't be till the 8th.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, that might be good timing if we've gotten everything into DEP, the week before, which is what we're hoping. It could be an opportune time to come in and give another quick update.
Yeah.
But,
Well, either way, if we miss it, we're gonna need an update.
if we don't make it, then it'll be a worse meeting, but I'll still have to be here.
They can't all be good.
It's
That'd be
actually,
boring.
the next meeting's actually April 7th is the next Monday.
Okay,
April
yeah.
8th is a Tuesday,
That
so
checks
it's,
out. Okay.
And it's not some weird Monday holiday then.
no.
All right, well, thank you for coming down.
All right, yeah, anytime.
Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you, James.
Anything else on new business that we can talk, didn't show up on the agenda so we can talk about and not vote on?
Yeah, well, yeah. So 21 Lincoln Street, he got his first water bill.
And?
So he's asking if all the fees can be waived.
21 Lincoln Street,
The warehouse, yep.
warehouse?
How much are they?
So he has $7,000 in a hydrant usage, so he has to pay that no matter what. So that leaves about $8,000 in riser fees and water bill. He has 10 risers at $880 a piece, So it's $8,800.
What's his hardship?
Because he doesn't have an occupancy, because he doesn't have a tenant. So I
people
told
with
him.
vacant houses in town, they get a bill, they have to pay their bill,
I
so.
told him you could ask for the water to be turned off.
That
I
wasn't,
mean,
those fees weren't part of the agreement.
No,
made
no,
earlier.
No,
No,
never
that's
discussed them.
I mean, I'm not really inclined to
Right.
grant that.
I let him know that the commission is probably, if you want to reduce your fees, you need to shut your services back off. You wanted them on, we turned them on. That begins your bill.
Yeah.
The water's sitting there, waiting, available.
'Cause, yeah, 'cause he's not using it, but he still
Right.
has his basic that he's
And
gotta pay no
If
matter
he
what.
shuts off his risers, the fire department may request that he has fire watch for the entire time, so I don't think you can shut them off. But he doesn't have occupancy yet, so nobody's in it, I don't know the technicalities there.
He's not gonna have occupancy for a while.
Right, because he doesn't have a tenant.
Well, the riser fee
Finish
part's a
plumbing.
one-time cost.
it's
No, the
it's
riser fees are every quarter.
It is quarter?
Yeah, because if the sprinkler system goes off,
Yeah.
it's ready to go.
No, the hydrant use is the one-time cost.
Right.
Yeah. knew one of them was.
So what's the quarterly cost on that? So it's 8 rises at $800 a piece?
880. No, there's 10.
10 rises, so it's 8,800 a quarter.
180 a quarter.
That's 8,800.
Yeah.
Just for that, and then there's another, probably 100 for the, he's not using any water,
The
because
water.
But it's
it
just
doesn't
the,
go
but
anywhere.
it's just the, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just the fee.
No, am I hearing a motion to?
I make a motion to deny.
Well, it's not on there, so you can't.
No.
Okay,
Right.
well, I say no. He's not even here to
I'm
argue his
just,
case.
yeah,
Yeah.
just your feelings, not anything,
Yeah.
I'm not, no votes.
No votes. But I'm not detecting a lot of sympathy
No.
to do that.
He
I
wanted,
didn't hear a reason.
like, they literally were hounding us to get that water on,
Yeah.
and now you're crying wolf after the fact, like, I stalled you out to miss one whole water bill.
Well, if he contacts you, you let him know how our discussion went.
Yep.
If he wants to request it formally and we can vote on it, we can do that, but,
I'll let him know.
I mean, no, that's right, because we got rid of all the other ones with the pipe install. Yeah. I don't know how you can do that anyway and not grant that kind of stuff to others.
Right. Yeah,
And
then
that
it'll
starts
be
down a
every,
real
like,
dangerous road with the
You know,
money.
586 Manley Street is another warehouse, he's paying his bills, not a squawk
Yep.
out of them, and he's
Yeah,
got
he's-
less, he has like 8 rises, I think, or 6, I forget how many are in there.
He doesn't have any occupants in there yet, does he?
No, he's another one that's
Okay.
sitting empty.
Yep. All right. Anything else in the new before we move on?
No, that was it.
Okay. Well, old business, nothing under the appeal to talk about. Unless you have anything additional, we pretty much have covered 1, 2, 4, and Station 3 with James.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything additional, the sand valves were it.
Yeah. There's nothing we can do. They rotted out from the inside. There's no way to know until it's,
Right. We
Empty.
did read our meters for the first time again, we got the laptop in and it all seemed to go fine.
Communications Committee,
Nothing to report.
no communication.
No communication.
The South Elm Street service leak, is there any
It's
progress?
fixed.
I saw
It's
some
fixed?
activity there.
Yeah, so we scheduled to go out there that day. The guy, he hired another contractor, not
Yeah.
some guy with a teaspoon
Well, so with a
machine.
real machine?
Yeah, so we showed up and, there were people that we did know there. But we had planned to dig at the street if he was gonna go so that we could take an edge off, because we didn't want the main getting struck. So we showed up and we helped them and we got it done.
Take it out.
Yep, take it off.
How bad was the leak?
The minute we dug down, that thing was roaring in there. Like,
Was it?
it wasn't, what you saw on the ground was not even a part of it. Like, we had to shut the main down on the street and go fast to get it jumped over.
Jeez. It rotted out, or?
Yeah, we never saw it because there's a giant oak tree grew up on it. And then there's a gas main and it was a tight area because you couldn't take down the tree. The tree is a giant tree. They're good sized trees right there.
What was the material on the main?
That was cast iron.
Old galvanized service?
Yeah, we didn't even go back to the main. We grabbed the copper, which was intertwined with the old steel line on our side. So we separated them out and jumped it out and got the water turned back on.
Good.
Well, maybe the unaccounted for will go down a little.
Yeah. The clay layer in town pretty much keeps any water from coming up unless it shoots straight up at it to puncture it.
And all that asbestos cement pipe doesn't make it easy to trace either.
No, that and the plastic that's in town.
Yeah. All right, anybody have anything else to bring up tonight?
No?
John?
Nothing.
No mop sinks. You just said that.
Maybe that'll be.
You just
half
said
of
that to see the look on his
$26,000
face.
bathroom.
I hate to bring stuff, they should know this stuff.
He might
Yeah,
not
this
have
isn't-
seen the plans yet, though, to see that there's
Yeah.
a mop sink in it. Even Manley Street has a mop sink.
Well, and actually, on, when they put these stuff together like that, the things that are kinda under the plumbing code get picked up under the plumbing plans. These are process drawings, a lot of times they don't have all the detail figured out, they just have space in the rooms. But 95% might be a little generous for how complete they are.
I think the layout on the plumbing is not, could be laid out, I mean, they get the fixture, they get the lavatory on the outside wall, the mop sink will be on the outside wall, and it just could lead to freezing, so we'll see what happens when the plumbing drawings come out.
And you said you didn't have anything else.
Well,
Well, hearing nothing else, other than the fact that we need to still sign off on our warrants and refunds,
motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye, 5:45.